Hey everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine alongside Jeff Hawkins, who is back. And I don't have to do the show by myself. I'm so happy. And I'm also happy that Jeff's okay. So
I apologize for that. I realized that I knew I was running behind. And I was getting my 2-year cystoscopy, which, if there are those of you who've been following me, that's basically how they go into the bladder and check to see if there's any cancer or anything in there. And 2 years ago, I had surgery to take a tumor out of my bladder. Well, after you have the procedure, because they are trying to prevent infection and especially urinary tract infections, you take a couple of pills. You take an antibiotic and you take another medicine to. It helps. It helps sterilize the urinary tract. It helps keep it from getting infected. It helps with the burning pain that you get, as one would, because if you look up cystoscopy, you'll see how that procedure happens. But it turns out I have just out of the blue developed an allergy to something called sulfa, which is in a lot of urinary tract infection medications. Now, I've been taking these medications for the past 3 years since I've been going to this doctor, but just happened at this time I went into anaphylactic shock.
oh, geez.
And yeah, it's funny because my doctor goes, "We heard you fainted." It's like, no, no. You called You called an ambulance. That's more than fainting. I had rashes, and my temperature got up to a very hot degree, and my blood pressure dove to the point where they couldn't find veins in my arms to get an IV in there.
Maybe
I explained a lot of this.
Anaphylactic shock.
Yeah, I explained a lot of this on Shake Them Ropes, but nevertheless, I still have black and blue marks on my arms for where they're trying to jab something to get it going. I spent about 6 hours in the ER. And the remedy is just don't take those medicines anymore. I was like, all right, cool.
Better find something else.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I now just have to say, hey. I don't know. I've asked doctors now. I've asked 3 of them. I'm like, okay, when they go, it just happens sometimes that you just develop random allergies as you get older.
So now you just have to add that when they ask you for your list of allergies.
I don't. Here's the other thing. I don't have any allergies.
Oh, okay. Well,
which makes it very surprising. You know, surprise.
The only one I ever answer is ASA, which I'm technically not allergic to, but I'm not supposed to take it, so I just say that.
Well, it turns out I had some adverse effects last time, and I didn't know it was anaphylactic. I didn't know it was anaphylactic. I knew it was. I thought it was a reaction to like laundry detergent on the blankets and sheets on the gurney or something. I was itching. Yeah, I was turning red. Yeah. I had a rash, and I got some swollenness in my lips and my face. I'm just like, what is going on here? And I told them that. They put it on my file and never consulted anybody.
Oh, jeez.
Which is always nice.
Lawsuit.
No, I don't think so, because I think you sign a waiver that says we're not responsible for killing you. No. But I recovered. I apologize for not being here.
Well, you missed a good show.
No, I know that.
I wouldn't say a great show. I wouldn't say a great show, but a good show.
I watched the show and I was like, well, I'm only gonna be 45 minutes late by the time I get. I took a header at the base of the elevators, and my doctor actually found me because I was the last patient of the day.
And then you still managed to get a hold of me and tell me. So
it was. Yes, I have my phone, and my one if you don't think I'm a professional, my one concern was telling Paul, don't think I'm going to make it tonight. And I think that was my exact words.
And then like I get a
said headed to the ER. That's what I said. Headed to the ER.
I get a message from Gigi, and he's like, well, what's wrong with Jeff? And I'm like, I don't know. Just said headed to the ER. And I'm like, okay, I'm in solo mode. And it's like, you didn't even ask him? I was like, I figured he had bigger problems, and he'd let me know when he could.
Not now, Paul dying. Can't talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I messaged you and you told me. So yeah, no, it's so I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad you're in better shape than you were a week ago at this time.
Yes.
And we had a stretch of shows like last week. I mean, there was 2, arguably 3 matches on that show that were probably pay-per-view matches, and there was another 2 tonight. And we come to find out Dave, who we know, and I think they even mentioned it on Wrestling Observer Radio, is pretty much in constant contact with Tony Khan. The reason they're doing these loaded up shows is that they're trying to increase the ratings because they're in the home stretch of signing this deal, which Tony said they're in the red zone on the pre-show or the media call for Forbidden Door. So they've been in the red zone a while. They're kind of like your Browns.
I'm a Bengals fan. I don't care.
Or
about
Bengals.
That,
I'm sorry. I mixed it up. Who dat?
No, who day? Who dat is
know.
the
I did that on
Saints, you
purpose.
son of a...
I did
no,
that
okay.
on purpose. But yeah, so no, they're trying, and it's not really working.
Well, okay then. This will go into my kind of critique of the show then, because
Of tonight's show?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I will tell you what could have possibly gotten ratings, I think, and what they decided to do. They are front-loading with talent. They are putting names on there to put on good matches. And, ooh, they did a title switch. Ooh. You're telling me Tony's in constant contact with Dave, huh?
Well, I mean, he basically said it in the...
No, I know that. So he's using Dave for PR. And
I think it's more
in
like...
a time where we're complaining about WWE and access to reporters and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. I'm not accusing Dave of anything. I think Tony is catering to his, for lack of a better term, sicko fan base.
Yeah.
That said, if this show had been mostly about the build to Blood and Guts, and maybe we end with a hot angle where somebody takes out, I don't know, Darby Allin, or takes out Max Caster, and we have a mystery opponent for next week that's not completely obvious, as Darby Allin was tonight, and it's a story of prepping for Blood and Guts. And we see that throughout this show, and we're building the hate, and we're building the feud, and we're going to get to it, because I'm not excited about Blood and Guts next week, and it's my favorite match style of all time.
Well, how could you be?
It doesn't seem particularly, there's no stakes to it. It doesn't even feel like the Elite are going to lose this match, because it's just, I mean, when you think of, ooh, we are going to take out this super powerful team with the Acclaimed.
I mean, the best wrestler alive.
Yeah, well, yes, and I think, see, that's why I think the ending's going to be Max Caster turning on his team so that, and going off, because he's the best wrestler alive, even though everybody wants to see a Bowen single
Didn't even think of that, but it's possible. I don't think that's the finish. I mean, if they're smart, the finish is Hangman submitting Swerve. But
yes,
I don't know if they're
agree.
Do that. I don't know if they're going to do that.
But really, what have the Elite run rampant, and have they been overpowerful where the thing... All right, Greg, I'll get to you in a second. No, but it doesn't feel like, man, the Elite are a problem that we need to take care of right now, and they could have at least done that on this show.
Yeah, because okay, so this whole thing, like, you know, it started with the Bucks. You know, they're exerting their power and everything, but Tony was still there. Then they attack Tony and they take over the show. And they're running wild for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden Tony's back with Darby in his minivan or truck or whatever the hell it was. And then, oh, Tony's back. Okay, so this part of the story's over. But then it wasn't. The Elite are still doing stuff. Tony's doing stuff. Chris Daniels is doing stuff. We have no idea who's in charge. Even tonight, Chris Daniels says to somebody, "Oh, I didn't want to strip you the titles, but I was forced to." Like, what? Like, you know, and like, who forced you? You know, I don't know. And so, I mean, at least they could have said, okay, if you know, the Elite could lose their whatever powers they have,
yes,
they still keep the salary, and if they win, then they get the opportunity to overrule Tony Khan.
That's all I want, Paul.
Yeah,
I don't want anything complicated necessarily.
But we got nothing.
I just kind of want. Yeah.
This is
a great point.
Yeah,
read it. Go ahead.
Jonathan asks, asking because I don't get it. A multi-year deal worth hundreds of millions of dollars hinges on popping ratings the past month and not the data over the last 5 years. Add to this, WBD is not smart enough to figure out what they're doing. You know, we're gonna throw a bunch of pay-per-view matches on TV.
No, WBD right now is now kind of hamstrung on, are they going to match the deal for the NBA?
Yeah.
They're not really paying all that much attention to. They'll look at the numbers after they get this NBA deal done, which is far more pertinent to their lifeline.
If they got some change
cable
left in the cushions, they'll throw it Tony's way.
And yeah, I'm just like, oh, Tony's front loading these show because we're in the red zone for negotiations. No smart business does that. No smart business is gonna go, well, you had these last 3 weeks on the upswing. Let's not pay attention to the rest of the data that we have on here.
Yes.
Okay, we have smart lawyers handling all these negotiations. This isn't like Tony Khan's walking in and he's gonna like sell them a monorail or something.
I do think that tonight it'll work. And the reason I think so is I look back and I was going to want to see what the ratings pattern was when they did the Danielson Hangman 1 hour draw. That was Winter is Coming 2021.
Define work.
Well, they had a big audience to start the show and they kept the audience for the whole match. So the full hour.
What do you think? But what do you think expectations were at this time, 5 years into the AEW experiment?
Well,
it's
hard to say because 5 years ago, maybe. But I mean, when this thing started, I remember people saying they were hoping for 500,000 viewers and a 0.25. That was what they were hoping at the time. I think, or maybe it was a 0.2. And this was, but then they were doing way better than that right out of the gate. And the thing is, like, I don't know if you could have foresaw 5 years ago. I think maybe smart people probably could have, that 5 years TV is going to go down. Like, we're on a downward spiral, right away. So I think like the numbers are fine. And I do think like if they open strong, like they often do, they should keep that audience for the first hour and then it'll plummet in the second hour. Like, I don't see any reason why people would stick around for that Chris Jericho segment. And then, whatever else they did after that. And then certainly not for Okada Swerve, which, that match, they just announced it. Like, they didn't even do an angle to set it up.
They were literally just putting names on TV for a couple minutes to see if they could spike a rating.
And the other thing was they promoted, like Darby did a promo last week promising that he was going to be there this week. I don't think, other than Jack Perry mentioning his name once in a backstage promo, the announcers never once mentioned that Darby was going to be there. No. Darby's one of their big stars.
I agree.
They should have said this all night. They should have said it 3 or 4 times. Reminder, we're going to see the return of Darby Allin tonight. Don't tell us when, just keep telling us it's coming. If you want people to stick around for that main event angle, that's what you do. But they didn't. So I think most people probably, as soon as we got a clean finish in MJF and Ospreay, figured, okay, well, we're going to get a screw job in Okada Swerve.
I wouldn't call that a clean finish, but okay.
Well, kind of. I mean, as clean as
hit with a foreign object and pin.
Yeah, but 2 seconds left. I
get it. I get what you're saying. I find the strategy to be a little desperate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's just me. I'm like, okay, it's not something that a confident product does. It really isn't.
And the other thing, I mentioned this, like last week we had, 2, arguably 3 pay-per-view matches. This week we had 2. I think the week before we probably had 1 or 2. If you are having these great, awesome, don't get me wrong, awesome matches, and we'll talk about them on TV every week, number one, all of a sudden now the great matches are just the standard.
Yeah.
So if I miss this week's great matches, I'll tune in next week. There'll be a great match next week. There's no urgency that we have to see this big match. Like this MJF Ospreay, they should have built this up for a month.
I agree.
And I mean, people will argue, yeah, well, there's been angles leading to it and everything, but no, announce it.
We're
going to do the match.
Promos.
Little Rock,
angles.
Little Rock, Arkansas, Dynamite 250. Start telling us this a month ago. We're going to do this on this date, sell tickets. Because that's the other thing. Up until 2 days ago, they'd only sold 2,300 tickets for this show. They ended up with 3,000. And to get to that, they were selling tickets for $20.
Yeah, and this Texas residency is set up for what, 1,300?
Yeah, and they've sold, average of about 800. They've got 1,000 for 1 or 2 shows. But I mean, and it's not costing them a lot, so they're not going to lose money or anything.
No. As a cost-cutting thing, it's great. As a hot product thing, it's not.
It's TNA.
And Well, I'm not even gonna go that. I think look, there's far more interest for AEW than TNA.
No, I just mean for those shows. Collision and Rampage.
Well, not for.
I mean, there are. I mean, they're bigger audiences for those shows for sure.
Right.
But
they have a much wider. They have a wider grasp. Let's put it this way: being on the Turner networks helps them quite a lot.
But I mean, it's the same. It's going to be the same kind of atmosphere, I guess, is more what I'm saying. It's going to be the same building, same fans, probably for the most part.
It's going to feel very WCW Saturday Night when they center stage.
That's a better thing. Yeah. Now maybe they can do some stuff and make it look good. I remember they did some center stage tapings for Elevation for a while, and those look kind of cool.
Look, if they could take a step back and go into like a territory style studio wrestling show, I'd be all for that, because that's what I've been dying for, where it's just kind of a little promo heavy and character development.
Well, that's kind of what Collision was when it started.
Yeah,
we would get like one or two good matches.
When it was CM Punk's show.
Yes. So. But then the other thing is, okay, so number one, now all of a sudden your special matches aren't great, but if you're giving away pay-per-view matches on TV, what's the incentive to buy a pay-per-view? I just saw maybe, and I'll say this right now, the best match in AEW history for free. Why do I need to spend $50 to see the All In? Like, what's the incentive? Oh, I'll get to see a rematch.
Wait, you thought Ospreay and MJF might have been the best match in AEW history?
I do, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
we're gonna have a chat then.
All right, no problem.
It's funny because Triller asked that today, the Twitter thing. I said my pick is the Bullet Club Gold versus FTR.
Oh, I mean, that was right
which
there.
Was mine.
That was right there.
And then my other one was the New Year's Bash with Anna Jay and Tay Mello versus
that 58-minute match.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one for me was the Hangman Danielson 1 hour draw. I'm a sucker for these 1 hour matches. You
like the long drawn out matches. Okay.
Yeah. When they are done right. When they are done right. And I think this was done right. Like, I think this was better than the Danielson MJF Iron Man match. Partially. Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, it was the best match in AEW history. So.
Okay. Well, let's get into the show.
Somebody said this statement was blasphemous. I guess he's talking about what I just said. Probably.
I'm a little gobsmacked that you ranked it that high.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at my ratings, but the rating I gave this, I can't imagine I gave anything better. So yeah.
Because I'm going to tick off some of the people that love AEW, I think.
All right.
When I talk about this match.
All right. So I mentioned the thing. So I start the show, as I always do, like about 20 minutes in, 25, I think it was when I started. And I start watching this match, and I skip through the entrances, and so I did miss if they announced what the time limit was going to be. I didn't hear it, and not once until I think there was 5 minutes left did they actually tell us what the time limit was. Once they went past 30, I figured it was probably 60, but again, they didn't tell us. And there's different time limits for all kinds of different matches in AEW, so there's no rhyme or reason to it. But when they started, MJF is strutting, and then Ospreay would strut, and then MJF was jawing with people at ringside. He rolls up. They're just wasting time like crazy at the beginning.
Oh, this is a house show match for the first third of it.
Yeah, so I knew it was going long. And then, eventually they started going into it. And at first, I'd say you said third. So I'd say like after they got all that nonsense out of the way and they started actually working, it started out like like an Ospreay match, a typical Ospreay match where, just all kinds of the styles that, all those moves he does and everything. And I even said on X, but it was in a reply to someone, so probably not a lot of people saw it, that they ripped some moves from Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruka.
Okay.
Well, no, but realistically, Kalani and Sol ripped them from Will, and Will just did them again. But they did the spots, like where they would do the mirror spots and missing moves and everything and get the fans to chant. And so they did all that stuff. And Ospreay, he's great at that stuff. And they did a bunch of stuff. And then eventually they work into basically doing an MJF match. And, they would get to that. But at one point, I think it was about 10 minutes in, Ospreay does this move off the top rope. And I literally screamed at my TV, "What the hell was that?" And then Excalibur says that was a Sky Twister. So I guess he heard me. And then at one point, Tony Schiavone says, "I hate Max with a passion." And then he says, "Well, maybe dislike is a better word." And it's like, You just said you hate him with a passion. Now you say you dislike him. I don't know. But then MJF takes over, and he's basically working like a regular pro wrestling match for the next little while. When they finally went to a commercial, I think it was 23 minutes in, except TSN actually didn't go to commercial. I don't know if TNT did. They said they were going to commercial, but they didn't actually go to commercial. So when they were in their break, MJF went to the camera and he called Ospreay a bullshit copy of a professional wrestler. Fans were chanting, "We want tables," because there was a table set up at ringside. MJF flipped them off. And I was wondering, like, it's not a no DQ match, so I don't know why they're chanting for tables. And then MJF put on a long arm lock. So I knew they were in a commercial at that point. And then Excalibur's voice went up. So I figured, okay, now they're coming back. Yeah. So did you guys get that part or no?
Like, I think we had picture in picture.
Oh, you did? Okay. So yeah, we got the full match. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't think it's ever happened. Like, I've watched Dynamite on Triller before, so I have seen this stuff, but never on TSN. So I guess they must have just missed the break. But yeah, then one weird thing was MJF at one point here hits a show breaker, and then he hits a Made in Japan, which of course is is it Rush's move? I think. Is it Penta?
I can't think of the move right now. What is it?
It's like almost like a Death Valley driver, or a JML driver almost.
Okay.
But it kind of started a theme here, and we'll get into it. And the announcers didn't actually point it out. Like, they called the moves, but they didn't point out what was going on. And I think I figured it out. And then Ospreay at that point starts selling his shoulder, and he's pointing to his shoulder, and refs chanting this, fans chanting, "This is awesome."
Shingo Takagi, according to Anthony in our chat.
Oh, Shingo Takagi. Okay. So, maybe that. I'm still going to go with my theory. Fans are chanting "Fight Forever." They went past almost to the 30-minute mark. So at this point, MJF tries to escape through the crowd. Ref followed them out, and he's not even trying to get them back in the ring. They're brawling up into the stands. And then at one point, and this is the one thing in this match that bugged me. And I don't know if you know. Well, I'm sure you noticed it, but I'm not sure if it bugged you as much as it bugged me. I got told off by Jim Valley for mentioning it on X.
Yeah, don't mention things during the match.
Will tried to get Will got a fan, a little girl, to smash, like, to give MJF like a chop, and she did it. And then Will just high fives her, starts smiling, and he's having the time of his life here in this brawl for his title with this heated rivalry, and it just kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Okay, no. Okay. Because it was a genuine moment with emotion in a match where I felt didn't have a lot of it.
Okay. But and I get that. Like, that was real emotion.
See, you and I are a little bit different here. You just described this as a heated rivalry match, and I didn't get that out of the match part of it. I got it out of the build part of it, but never out of the match part of it.
Okay.
And I viewed this more as kind of a, for lack of a better term, a Dusty Rhodes type moment.
Okay.
Where they do that kind of thing where it's like, and everybody just kind of sells it. Well, I mean, I said due to lack of a better term. It's okay. It's not meant to be a serious moment, so I was fine with it. I mean, I would have liked. I think I would have liked her to hit a little bit harder so that Max could sell it, as opposed to.
Well, I don't know how much she could hit hard. She's
and it's unfair to put an audience member in. Look, overall, I don't like those spots. I will agree with you,
but you liked it here.
I tolerated it here. Okay, let's
not. I tolerated it.
Let's not oversell it. But I thought it was. Look, he's trying to be man of the people, slapping, and everybody hates Max. Hey, take a shot at him. You've always wanted to do this type of thing. And it was a fun little comedy moment for me.
All right. So anyways, they keep brawling, and they still haven't got back to the ring. Ref's not even trying to get them back in. And then finally they get back to ringside. Will, out of nowhere, just rolls into the ring and then rolls back out like he's breaking up a count, except the ref isn't even counting. And Excalibur actually pointed out that the ref wasn't counting and starts laughing at Will, which I don't get that. But anyways, Will puts MJF on the table that had been sitting there, and then Max rolled off when Will was about to jump on him. So they go back in the ring. They did a bunch of pile driver reverse spots. And then eventually MJF gets Will back to the outside, puts him on the table, and he's about to go for an elbow drop, and I'm thinking, man, that's how he hurt himself last time. He's going to do this again. And then Will rolled off, and the fans actually booed. So these fans that are supposedly cheering for Will Ospreay booed when he escaped getting put through a table. So they go back. MJF's biting his arm when they're about to go back in the crowd. Now the ref's trying to get them back in. MJF's mocking Garcia to the camera. He's whipping Ospreay into the barricades. Went back in the ring to break the count. Then he puts Will on a chair and does the running into the chair spot that Samoa Joe does. And here I'm figuring out, okay, he's starting to do the moves of the guys that he's been feuding with or that he's beaten. And then I think there was also another spot in here, I might have missed it, where, or maybe it's coming up, where he also did they called it the Long Island Sunrise, but it was the Panama Sunrise, which is Adam Cole's move. So he's doing the moves of all of his rivals as throughout this match. And the announcers never actually pointed it out. Like they called the moves, but they never pointed it out, which I think was part of the storyline. Anyways, he's mocking Garcia as well.
Well, hold on. There's another. Okay, this ding will come up later, which I think was part of the storyline.
The Garcia stuff, right?
No, I know that.
Oh, there's more? Okay.
No. When you say that, that's a problem in a match.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
where they're not calling a storyline in a friggin' yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Continue.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. I mean, just because the announcers did a bad job, I don't necessarily think that I'm going to knock the wrestlers for it. So, anyways, so they go. Ospreay did an os cutter off the barricade. They're both down. I counted. They've been out for over 2 minutes at this point, and then all of a sudden, they just got up and went in the ring. Like they were in the middle of selling, and then let's get in the ring. So, anyways, they go in the ring. Ospreay hit a crossroads on MJF, and he winked at the camera before he did it. So I think that was a shout out to Cody, who had made comments earlier this week about how the AEW World Title means nothing compared to the AEW title, essentially. Then
a lot of people in their feels about Cody Rhodes this week. I've already gotten in trouble for talking about it, so
they need to get over it.
I agree.
Ref got between them, and then MJF poked Will in the eye, hits a hammerlock DDT, which I'm pretty sure is someone else's move that he was feuding with, but I'm not sure. I checked the time here.
Isn't that
now
Moxley?
Yes, you're right. So now they've gone 35 minutes. So I figured, okay, it's got to be 60 minutes at this point. Then MJF clothesline Will off the ropes for 2. They did a tombstone reversal spot, kicked him in the side of the head. Then they're going out. They're struggling on the apron to hit a move, and then Will hits a Styles Clash, which I mean that's one of his moves now at this point. Crowd's chanting "Holy shit!" He hits a one-arm power bomb. We finally get a break in TSN at 41 minutes in, and I guess during the break, Will had to get medical attention for his shoulder. I'm sure it was just working, but he had to get his shoulder reset, they said. They come back. He went for an os cutter, but MJF catches him and hit a tombstone. Will kicked out. MJF choked Ospreay with tape. Ref screaming at him, "What are you doing?" And a couple fans, literally like 3, are chanting "Tiger Driver." MJF tossed Will into the corner. He did the Bret Hart bump. And here's where I pointed out, like at this point, not once have the announcers mentioned what the time limit is. MJF took a really awkward bump over the top rope, and then rolled back in. He's taunting to the camera, and he says, "That's why I'm the smartest." And before he can say wrestler, Ospreay hits him from behind with a hidden blade, and the camera shot was perfect. What ruined this was the announcers telling us that the camera shot was perfect. I'm like, that's our job, not yours.
Did a few times because they're emulating those New Japan moments where they have the 45-degree angle and somebody does the flip and stands up and the guy. Okay, great. Yeah, you don't need to fluff your own cameraman, guys.
No,
just get the shot.
Exactly. And then just, oh my God, he came out of nowhere. Like, sell the emotion of the spot. Don't sell the cameraman. So anyways, ref starts counting, and now at this point he doesn't want to count out anymore, and they point out that Will doesn't want to win by count out. So he broke up the count a couple times. Hits a hidden blade for 2. Went to the top. MJF knocked him off. MJF went for a Rana. Ospreay caught him and hit a top rope style clash, but he couldn't cover. And then finally he did, but MJF made the ropes. They start fighting again. MJF hit the heat seeker on the apron, rolled out of the ring, puts him on the table. Then he went to the top and he hit the flying elbow on Will through the table. Fans are chanting, "This is awesome." They went to another break. This is at 49 minutes in. Come back, it's 52 minutes in. So we got about 8 minutes left. MJF had an abdominal stretch, so they're killing time at this point. MJF grabbed the ropes, and the ref saw it right away, and he's trying to claim he wasn't. And then Bryce kicked his arm. Will hip tossed him, cradled MJF. They did a exchange where they were, trading pinfalls back and forth. MJF starts teasing the kangaroo kick, and Tony Schiavone says, "Kangaroo kick my ass." He was on fire tonight, Tony. We'll get to some of his stuff later. Ospreay stopped it and catapulted him. He put him on the top rope. Ospreay did his mule kick. He did the poison Rana, but MJF landed on his feet. Crowd loved that. Hit a running lariat. Then he put Will on the turnbuckle, and he did Garcia's dance right in his face. And then he hits a Rana, but Ospreay landed on his feet. And then MJF did some more dancing, and he got clipped by Ospreay. Rolling elbow by MJF. He went for a power bomb. Knee to the jaw by MJF. Will hit an enziguri. Sunset flip. They do another rolling pin exchange, and now at this point they're getting a standing ovation. Will hit an os cutter, or went for an os cutter, but MJF hit him with a thrust kick in midair. That was awesome. Will hit a stun dog millionaire and a poison Rana. This is all happening in like the last 5 minutes of the match. MJF lariated him from behind. Spanish fly from Will. They're both down. Crowd's going nuts, chanting AEW. Finally, at this point, Excalibur says it's a 1 hour time limit. And I think we have like 3 minutes left in the match. Will put MJF on the turnbuckle. MJF put Will in a pile driver position, but Ospreay clapped his legs against MJF's head. He had an os cutter off the top rope and then a hidden blade. MJF kicked out. MJF went for another hidden blade, but MJF ducked, Will did. And he was looking at the Tron when he did it. And Taz actually pointed that out. Maybe the only smart thing any of the announcers did in this match. All of a sudden, the screen went black and then came back on. So I think that was like the 1 hour break on the show. But it was weird. It went black for like a couple seconds, at least here. I don't know if it did where you were. But MJF spit at him. Will hit a headbutt, set up for a pile driver, and then he motioned for the Tiger Driver, and he like took forever. And Justin Roberts does his 1 minute call, and Ospreay still pondering, should I do this? Should I not do this? Whatever. And then he finally got him up, and then he just dropped him. And then they do a ref bump, and MJF clocked Will clearly with something in his hand. I thought it might have been brass knucks, and because it didn't actually look like the ring, but it turns out it was the ring. And he fell on him.
Usually he makes the big deal about the ring before he hits somebody.
Yes, and here he probably just pulled it from his tights or something. Correct. And he hit it, and he landed on Will with 4 seconds left, and the ref counted, and they finished with like literally 1 second left. I think Excalibur said it was 2 seconds, but looked like 1 to me. I'm sure Dave timed it. Dave timed it. It's probably
actually it was 63-24. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate
I think it did go over 60, to be honest, but I'm not positive of that. But it seemed
felt like it.
Yeah, but I thought it was an awesome match. I thought they just kept aside from there's a couple things I mentioned there. I thought it was awesome. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Oh, Andrade. Okay. Yeah.
I was bored.
Yeah. Okay. And you know what? I saw that a lot on X. A lot of people said they were bored.
I was bored. I think they didn't. This felt like they decided to do a 60-minute match very late in the day. To me, it felt like they did 3 matches in one. It's like this is the part where we're going to do the house show match. This is the part where we're going to do the walk-in brawl, and this is the part where we're going to do the super indie finish.
And they had a super indie
and it
start
felt
as
like
well,
it felt like they were wasting time. That's the thing
at times.
I don't want in a 60-minute match. I don't want to feel like you're wasting time to get to the 60. And I think a lot of this is on, for me at least, it's on MJF in the essence that what was MJF's emotional range throughout this match? Did he ever get frustrated or angry that he wasn't beating Will for a blood feud, for something where he's angry and they're doing, jabs at each other on the thing? Did it ever get to the point where you felt like one or the other was trying to kill the other, kind of a thing in terms of in the ring?
Really,
no, it felt like the indie smooth type of thing, and I think
there was maybe some frustration that they weren't hitting moves. But not necessarily frustration that they weren't killing the guy.
Right. And I mean, and it's all in the beginning. The ending is in the beginning in many ways. MJF starts by taking a powder. He starts by doing the Zabisco. He should have tried to quit this match at least 3 other times. To me.
Yeah.
Once he couldn't get the quick win, if we're making MJF cowardly heel again, which it seems we are.
Yeah.
Because he's not a badass.
He's mocking
kangaroo kicks.
he cut a promo before the match too, where he just he did every cheap heat heel trick that he's ever done for the crowd. They didn't show it on TV, but it was backstage.
No, that's fine.
Sent it to me.
That's fine if you're gonna do the cheap. Yes, do. I mean, because this felt very. I mean, this was a, for lack of a better term, kind of a Miz type performance in some ways. Not completely. Like for me, I mean, even like when he's doing the table spot. It's just to do the table spot. He's not doing it because he's mad at Will and he wants to finish this match and he's tired of this crap, so I'm going to put this guy through a table.
Well, and I think the crowd picked up on that too because they booed when they didn't get to see their table spot. It wasn't that they cared that Will was going to get hurt.
No, wrestling crowds right now are bad because they just want the table spots.
Yeah.
That's how you get heat is you deny them a table spot and you walk away. But
the real
I'm talking about something else. I'm talking within the
fold up that table and put it under the ring.
No, but I mean that would have been fine and cheap and everything, and I'm cool with that. But eventually he comes back, takes it out, and then tries to finish Will with it. That's what I'm talking about.
Or he goes through the table,
and I'm fine with that too. I would have liked Will maybe even to get angry at MJF as we went along because it was a very smooth Will Ospreay performance, and I mean smooth in the essence of Will's just kind of doing his stuff. And he's not, there's no levels to it. He's doing the Will Ospreay match, which is a very good match, and a lot of people like it, and I get that.
A friend of,
but also selling the knee he sold the knee for 20 seconds in that match, and I'm going to hear how the story of the match was about his knee giving out
or the shoulder.
Yes, the shoulder.
A lot.
Ow, my shoulder.
Well, no, he sold the shoulder for a while.
He did. He actually sold the shoulder better than he sold the knee.
One of our mutual friends who is a huge AEW fan was messaging, and he didn't like the finish, and because I
wouldn't either. But
I think what he didn't like was just the way that Will kind of oversold the torment of hitting the Tiger Driver. He should, given the emotion that he had last week and the promo that MJF cut on him this week. He should have been wanting to hit that Tiger Driver, right?
I think. Here's what I think he should have done. If we're going to do that, Will should be so wrapped up emotionally in this match and angry and trying to finish it, and maybe even getting a little frustrated that he can't or whatever, that he starts to do the Tiger Driver and then he stops himself and goes, "What the hell am I doing?"
And then,
kind of a thing.
And then maybe gets low blowed,
Yeah, and then that does. Although I hate that story. I do hate the story of, I hate the story of I can't use this move because I hurt somebody.
Well, you know what's going to happen, right?
Hurt anybody.
So the main of
he'll eventually overcome his demons and try and cripple somebody with the Tiger.
Well, he's gonna hit it on MJF at Wembley and win the title back, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
How is that a babyface story, though? That's the thing. I finally overcame my demons.
Because he did it to a bad guy.
Okay, now we're getting into moral. Now we're getting into moral relativism, which is interesting. But no, and look, I know that there's probably a segment of AEW fans that are just pissed because it's like, oh well, we're not that other company, and to watch a 1 hour match that was. If they felt like you was one of the best in history, just to have it end with the ring shot at 59:58.
I think my opinion of it being the best match is probably going to be a very.
I think you're going to be standing on that mountain alone.
Oh well, I don't mind that.
No, and that's fine.
My previous best one was Danielson Hangman.
I actually liked the ending.
Okay,
that was my favorite part of the match.
Well, I did too. I was expecting a draw, so. I kind of like having a finish when I was expecting a draw.
Oh, I was not expecting a draw. I was expecting a DQ. I was expecting just Max to walk out.
No. I was expecting a draw when they got to 55 minutes. But originally, I was expecting a DQ. I was expecting Garcia to return. Honestly, it's way too early for Garcia to return.
You and I were I was on that train when Max turned to the camera and started making fun of. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are we bringing up him?
The possibility is that he's not even coming back.
I think,
but they may be trying. They may be trying to convince him to come back, and
that might feels like they're building to a 3-way. In some ways,
I hope not.
I hope not either.
Because then it's just going to be Will pins Garcia.
Maybe Garcia pins somebody.
Yeah, maybe. So they did the thing afterwards. It's kind of like when they have a big New Japan title match. They got all these people in there tending to the wrestlers. MJF had oxygen, and he was completely overselling. And one of the quote unquote
That was me
medics,
last Wednesday, by the way, with the mask and selling it.
Did one of the medics that helped you? Was he laughing his ass off while he was doing it?
What was getting angry at me because I couldn't answer questions. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm blacking out.
Did you notice the one guy in the glasses?
Yes.
He just couldn't keep a straight.
He was corpsing. It's like, okay.
Yeah, because MJF was comically selling.
I get that. See, that's a complaint I have though, is that everybody's kind of in on the joke in AEW at times.
Yeah,
and it's not that. Trust me, WWE does this a lot too, and I hate it. But it's one of those things where I was mad at the commentary team all night.
They did not have their best night tonight. I don't know what
they need to be more locked in.
Yeah.
They do. I'm tired of them being. They feel very self-aware. It's like, we're doing this wrestling show. We know everything that's going on, so we're gonna get wink, wink,
Taz
nudge,
was
nudge.
Back. Hey,
and Tony and Taz just actually. Yeah. Tony and Taz need to stop their little feud.
There was a few holds. Yeah, they did that figure four reversal spot.
I would have, the figure fours were fine. I would have liked to have seen one of them have the strategy that they were going to try and submit the other guy.
Jonathan points out they got the oxygen mask on him right side up this time, unlike after the Wardlow squash.
Very true, yeah.
Nice touch. So we go from that to Arcady, I think that's her name.
Yes.
Backstage with Acclaimed and Mark Briscoe. And Max Caster says you get the best wrestler alive with the Acclaimed together. So he's basically asking to be on the team. He reminds him that he pinned the Bucks. And when you think AEW, you think the Acclaimed, we want in. And then Mark takes over and he says, "That right. You boys had my back a couple weeks ago. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are in. But I'm not the only guy calling the shot." And then Swerve walks in and he says, "Listen." And he says, "We've been through our share of squabbles. You're all some real tough people. No better people to go to war with than the people you've been done battle with." And he asks them if they're ready to get violent. And then Mark says, "Elite, we coming for you. 6 days and counting. Let's go, baby!" And that was that.
Best story point of this whole thing was Mark going, "I can't make that call." I was like, thank God. Thank God that we put Swerve in here and he actually has some pull on his damn team about who's on there. Now that said,
the Acclaimed.
The Acclaimed? Come on, Swerve.
I mean, where's Danielson? Where's Moxley? Where's Claudio? Where's Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy? Yeah, like they're Briscoe's boys. Where are they?
I'd take the Gates of Agony over there.
You know what? I pointed out, if you really wanted to do this feud the way it should be, like a 5-5, grudge. I mean, you could have done Cage of Agony, Hangman, and I can't remember who the other person I had in there was. MJF against Ospreay and Swerve. And the conglomeration. Okay, that would have been a great blood and guts match. Great, and you have built-in feuds with everybody involved. Or you could have had the Undisputed Kingdom in there instead of the Gates of Agony. If you want. And
when you're doing one of these inter-promotional type of things where you're trying to get rid of a force that's in the company. I always like that there's a heel on the babyface team that's just like, I don't like these guys either. I'm here to help you type of a thing. I like that kind of weird redemption story. And can you trust that? Can they coexist? That's where can they coexist works. Mm-hmm. When it's like you're wondering about Nikita Koloff in the '92 War Games and whether or not he's going to beat up Sting.
Especially when you got a guy like Swerve who is, by his own admission, a bad guy.
Yes.
He's a bad guy that people like. So I mean that kind of works. I mean the problem with this is, I mean, we are literally 1 week away from Blood and Guts, and at this point we only had 2 members of one of the teams.
Yes,
this is a Blood and Guts match. This is not.
That was my complaint earlier in this show. I'm just like, I want the build. I live for the build. I want to see the blow off. I'm here for that. And when
AEW started, I remember at that time one of the big complaints about WWE was, we have a Hell in a Cell match because it's October, not because we have a feud that requires a Hell in a Cell match. This is the point we've gotten to with AEW. Whereas in the other company now, we could literally have a Hell in a Cell match any month if we wanted to. Like, there's enough heated feuds going on that if we decided, at SummerSlam we want a Hell in a Cell match, they could easily book a Hell in a Cell match.
We now have a 1-to-1 comparison now that WWE does actual War Games matches in some ways. And we're watching them build the bloodline to being this out-of-control type of thing where somebody...
coming. Yeah.
You can see it coming a mile away, but that doesn't mean it's not necessarily a poorly told story either. It's one of those things where you see them taking pieces off the board to have pieces come back in to help get rid of this group. It's a well-told story, despite what people don't like the company and want to talk.
Hey, I said this last week. If you don't like the company, don't watch it. Watch AEW.
Fine.
Yeah, there's lots of great stuff in both companies. Yeah,
but I'm just telling you, there's now a direct apples to apples comparison on how they're building War Games, and the company that's doing it better isn't the company that you think would be doing it well.
We should want the match before they announce it, not
we should be dying for this match.
And it's like I'm dying for it to be done. So
this is me in like around 94, 95 when I was just like, who cares about the War Games?
NWO against that random baby.
I think might have actually been the Stud Stable one where I'm just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Although now that I've gone back and watched that's actually a very interesting feud in many ways.
We got I thought Excalibur was going to do his rundown here because he showed a graphic for All In Swerve Danielson, and then that's it. They didn't announce any other matches, even though I'm pretty sure we actually have a few more matches. But and then they did announce at this point that Swerve and Okada would be tonight's main event. So we go from that to the Learning Tree, and they called it the Learning Tree segment, even though I'm almost positive it's called TV Time.
It's called TV Time with the Learning Tree.
But they called it the Learning Tree segment, which is probably what it says on their rundown.
That's what it says on the rundown. You're exactly right.
Yeah. So Big Bill's got a mic. He introed Jericho. Hi, guys. People booed that, actually. They didn't cheer it. So good crowd. He said, you need to take some lessons from the Learning Tree. He runs off some crime stats, and he says, this is a high-crime, violent city. You can do better than that. And he said, this is Dynamite 250 for AEW. I was on the very first Dynamite and on almost every one since. And the ones that I missed, my branches were so angry they sent cards and letters. And I promise you all I'll never miss another Dynamite again. I'll be on every episode until we hit 500. And when you listen to the Learning Tree, good things happen. But when you don't, people get hurt. Look at the people who haven't listened. And they showed highlights of everyone. Shibata, which I had actually forgotten about, got taken out. And then Hook got taken out with a fireball. Joe got put through a paper wall. He's out till October.
What did Bill call the audience about?
I can't remember.
There's like saplings, seeds, leaves, and branches. I died. I died at that.
He's great. I don't know why they spent all this time building this team that we love when they knew Joe was going to be taking 4 months off to go film a TV show.
Because he's a name and we can use him for ratings.
Yeah, but never mind. So, anyways,
Dave, tell him I'm using Samoa Joe next week.
Yeah. All of you realize the teachings of Chris Jericho are so important. Who would be crazy enough not to listen to the Learning Tree? Who would be so psychotic? Who would be maniacal enough to ignore Chris Jericho? At this second, who did you think was coming out? He said crazy, maniacal, and psychotic.
I don't know.
I really for sure we were getting Darby Allin.
Okay. I thought actually it was going to be Joe or the return of Hook.
Oh, well, just the way he was describing it sounded like he was talking about Darby, and they promoted Darby's return, although he did say he was going after the Elite, but I thought this would have been perfect. But no. Instead, we got Minoru Suzuki wandering out in a T-shirt and sweatpants and with a big smile on his face, and his music's playing, but you can barely hear it. And this comes from somebody that was at the show tonight. Apparently, during the pre-show, they were taping matches for Ring of Honor, and after one of the matches, the speakers, it was just super loud. They blew the speakers. Everyone's they're holding their ears. They were hurting so bad. It was so loud. And then they took 15 minutes to fix the speakers, except apparently they didn't fix them enough because a lot of the sound over the loudspeakers wasn't coming through properly. And Minoru's song, you couldn't barely hear it, and this crowd didn't know the song. So when he got to the point where they go, Kazahinare, You couldn't hear anybody.
Listening on TV, I didn't think it was his actual music. I'm like, did he get a new AEW
It was
theme?
his music. I was wondering that too, but no, it was his actual music. You just couldn't hear it.
Okay.
And then Excalibur actually tells us that they were singing it, which they weren't. And then Tony even says, "Oh, is that what they were singing?" Fucking idiot. Yeah. So, anyways, he has a contract in his hand. He says next week, and he shoves the contract in Jericho's face. And Brian Keith grabbed it and he reads it and he says, "Official order, AEW from AEW, the Redwood and the Bad Apple are banned from ringside for the FTW at Blood and Guts next week in Nashville." And then
I love that they use their nicknames on an official deed, but that's okay. That's me just being legal and stuff.
Yeah. He headbutted Jericho. Keith and Bill, they had enough of this old man, and they backed off. And Minoru waved at him and said, "Bye, guys." And he went to the crowd and did that. So if you maybe just started watching AEW in the last couple weeks, and you might have some questions about why these three bad men who just took out Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Hook are scared of this old man.
I agree.
And I'm not sure the announcers did a very good job explaining why. They should, but anyways.
They didn't.
Yeah. So anyways, that was that. Next week, Suzuki's in again to lose to Chris Jericho. All right, to wrestle Chris Jericho, my bad. We don't give spoilers on this show. We go backstage to the Elite. And I thought this was actually a decent promo.
I really liked this.
Yeah, he said until the end.
No, I actually liked the end too.
Did you?
It was so stupid. It was so stupid. I mean, you have to. It was unrepentant stupidity. So I was here for it.
Fair enough. If that's your rationale, then okay. But we're building to Blood and Guts. Anyways,
we have a story within the Elite now where Okada has a crush on Mercedes. I kind of like it.
Okay. Wasn't there someone else that has a? It was Shibata and Renee, right? Remember?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So he said, "We saw what you just said. Acclaimed, Briscoe, Swerve. What pisses us off? The Acclaimed think they're going to be two-time champs. You need a reminder of who the heck we are. The greatest faction in the company's history. After next week, we're going to have all the gold and all the power." And he says, "We're the tag team champs. Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, is the Continental champ. Scapegoat Jack Perry is the TNT champ. We got all the belts." And then someone points out, "Well, what about Hangman?" "Well, the title might be vacant after what we do to Swerve." And then they said, "And we forgot the best of all, Hangman Adam Page makes his return to the Elite next week." And then all of a sudden they're interrupted by Mercedes Moné, and she thanks them for banning Britt Baker from the backstage area, which is weird. I mean, that was kind of a blatant clue that she was going to be at ringside. But anyways, she says, "No drama from the DMD to the CEO via your EVPs." And then Okada, nervous Okada, he's playing what's that? The Indian guy on Big Bang Theory, Raj.
I guess
he's playing Raj because he can't speak around women. So he whispers something into Matt's ear, and then he asked her to do her dance. So she does her dance, and then she waved at him. And Okada he starts sweating, and he's like having heart palpitations.
Al Pacino was telling Okada to calm it down just a little bit on the overselling.
I think he went into anaphylactic shock, to be honest with you.
Let's not mock anaphylactic shock, please.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, look, this wouldn't have been my choice if I was producing this segment. I would have probably just said, "Can she do the dance?" I would have sheepishly said, "Thank you," and then just kind of undersold it a little bit. Yeah. But no, he wanted to oversell it, and I was like, "All right, fine." He could
have just walked in. She's pretty hot.
But see, okay. But let me put it this way.
Yeah.
I would also, I don't mind the comedy on this segment if we bring up a little bit of more menace in the Jack Perry segment, which I'll get to when we get to
which they kind of missed on that one.
They missed a little bit, and I thought there was a little twist that they could have done with it too. And
Okada's Carlito. I kind of like that comparison. That's cool.
Geez. But no, I mean, I forgot. I have to unbutton my shirt. Yes, yeah. I have to do that too. I mean, we're just dwelling on this thing, and it's like, all right. It was one of those things where it's like, it's ridiculous, it's stupid, I hate it, and it keeps going. And now I'm finding it funny because it's going way too long.
And then the announcers oversold it too.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they liked it. Then we got Mercedes Moné versus Nyla Rose. I was really looking forward to this match, and unfortunately, it wasn't much. It was fine.
I was looking forward to this too. Let me get the positive out of the way.
Okay.
Within 30 seconds, this match had more emotion than that first match.
Well, except the fans didn't care.
It had but it had a story in it.
Yeah.
At least, Mercedes is scared of Nyla Rose. Perfect. I know how these two feel about each other. Good. Now we can tell it.
Yeah. And they were doing stuff, and they were doing it well, and they were telling a story, and the fans just didn't care. They were chanting.
This is not the Nyla Rose people want to see.
Well, I don't.
They want to see the Nyla Rose that went up there against Shida.
I'm not sure that they know who Nyla Rose is.
That too. I mean, the thing is, Nyla Rose.
Yeah, we needed some video packages on Nyla Rose because she hasn't been on TV in a while.
It's not just that, but Nyla Rose is somebody. When she was on TV every week, she was improving, and she was getting better. When you take her off for a long time, she was an actress, I think, in Northern DC and doing like indies before she got.
She's hilarious.
She is. She has acting chops.
Yeah.
The wrestling is what's weak with her at times, and so it was one of those things where it's like I was thinking a Shida Nyla Rose type match where Mercedes just takes a crap load of damage and ekes out a win. That's what I was thinking we were going to get. And that's not what we got. And I think most of the weakness here came from Nyla's side, to be honest with you. And that's not, I don't say that with any glee in any way. It's one of those things where I'm just like, Nyla looked weak against Mercedes, which does nothing for her.
Well, I don't think this was, I mean, we're probably not going to see Nyla again for another 6 months. But I did like the fans finally got into it when she put Mercedes up in a vertical suplex and started doing the Mercedes dance while she was holding her up in the air. That was funny. That was good.
They were. This was also kind of a house show match too, because they were doing a little bit of monologuing to each other on there too. It's like when Mercedes tried to suplex her, you go, "Are you kidding me?"
No, she screamed, "Have you lost your
your mind?" Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you.
And she draped her on the top rope, hit a Brody knee drop from the top, and today was the 36th anniversary of Bruiser Brody's death. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or maybe she might be a big Bruiser Brody fan, but she did hit the King Kong knee drop. Off that. I don't even remember her hitting that before, so that was kind of cool. They went through a break. Nyla hit a cannonball. Fans, nobody's buying anything like of the things. They're just chanting. Mercedes hits an avalanche bulldog, and then she pulls out the CEO glove, and she starts mocking Britt's taunt, and she put on a lockjaw, and Nyla just bit her. and then
I laughed at this. I actually liked the evil genius had a plan, and it backfired on her, and so she went to her what she knew.
Right, and she
the reaction to the glove needed to be a little bit more serious from commentary, though. Are those nails?
And again, I'm not sure that the fans recognized the glove spot because we haven't seen Britt in a while.
Correct.
So, and so she put on the statement maker, which is the former bank statement, and
that's such a terrible name.
Oh, just give it a different name. Like, whatever. Something.
Give it something CEO related, maybe?
Yeah. So she goes outside the ring after the match. And earlier on in the night, I didn't mention this, but MJF was jawing with fans and he was ripping up signs. And so Mercedes takes a cue from this and she sees a fan that, I mean, it was so obvious.
Just screams, this is a wrestler who is in a costume right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a fan at ringside in a jumpsuit with a mask on.
And I'll tell you something, Britt kind of saved this because she kind of does this little head turn to the camera after the mask comes off like Bugs Bunny. And I laughed hysterically at it because it was such a perfect, I know how to work the camera and tell you, yes, it's obvious it's me. Look at this dumbass.
Yeah, this dumbass
ripping up my sign.
Yeah, she ripped up the sign, and the fan pie faced her, and then she rips off the mask, and it's Britt Baker. And Mercedes just took off like a bat out of hell, and Britt went after her. Security's down immediately. They're getting in between them. Mercedes did a great job selling, and
that's the other thing. The chaos of security being down there. She thought that was Britt attacking her when security had grabbed her. I thought that was great.
And she was like, she is scared as shit of Britt Baker. And this is perfect. And I made the comment the other day that 3 of the 4 best heated feuds in wrestling right now are women's matches. And that would be 2 matches here, Toni and Mariah, and what we're going to talk about in a second, Britt and Mercedes, and over on the other channel, Liv and Dom.
Liv and Dom?
Or Liv and Rhea and Dom.
Rhea and Dom.
Yeah, and then the other one would be Drew and Punk.
Yes.
I would say out of the top 4.
No, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, which is great that we're getting like women's matches for 3 of those. So, and yeah, they did a great job. So then they had been promising all night that we're going to hear from Mariah May. And then they air a video package of the angle from last week. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I meant to ask you about this before the show, but we can do it here because we haven't talked about this yet. But they aired a recap of it with Mariah voicing over some of the highlights of it. And she said, Toni, this one's for you. And she didn't really say much other than that. And I thought, oh, is that all we're getting with Mariah? But no, it was not, as we would find out. But before we get into Mariah's speech, and my good friend Larry, we had an argument in the Discord because he said, I hope that Mariah doesn't do a long, convoluted explanation of why she did what she did to Toni.
And and every one of you.
I said, bookmark this comment for when they actually announce the segment. And then they did announce the segment. And then Larry still claims, well, they just announced she was going to speak. They didn't say she was going to cut a long meandering promo. So I'm interested in what he thinks about whether or not this was a long meandering promo or not. I thought it was good. But anyways, before we talk about the promo, what'd you think of the angle last week?
I liked the angle. I think it was undercut by the Bryan Danielson blood.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that I didn't even think about that at the time. The one thing I didn't think about at the time till later on when I was thinking about this in my head was, number one, it was a second straight show where we had a friend turn on another friend at the end of the show.
Yes.
Number two, what exactly was the last 3 months of Mina, Mariah, and Toni all about if Mariah was just going to turn on her? Because everyone during that whole thing was like, what the hell's going on here? We don't even know. And then all of a sudden they just made up. And a week later they're broken up.
Well, yes, they needed to do at least like a 30-second thing. Even if Mina's not there, maybe Mariah's on the phone saying goodbye. Okay, have a safe trip back. I'll talk to you later. I have some things to do here now.
Now, but the biggest issue I have with it, and this is a problem they created for themselves, they could have done the exact same angle, everything. Like everything they did, including the shoe, the blood, everything, but had it be Toni turning on Mariah.
Yes.
Which would have made total sense, given the whole storyline. You think you're going to take over for me? You're going to take my title? I don't think so, and all that. And then it would make sense because everything that led up to this all played into the churn. And we're going to Wembley, where Mariah May is from England, and she's going to be cheered. Toni is from Australia. She's going to be the heel. Except we just set up Mariah to be the heel and Toni to be the babyface. When they get to Wembley, I don't care what the storyline is, Mariah May is going to be the babyface.
No, Toni Storm's going to be the babyface.
Oh, the crowd's not going to cheer Toni, and they're not going to boo Mariah. That's what I'm telling you. In Wembley.
You think so? I don't.
I know so.
I think we're good here.
I talked to Lisa Gifford. She told me.
Okay.
she lives there. So no, I think they're going to cheer their native woman.
I think okay.
But
I still associate Toni Storm with Britain, even though she's Australian. It's so weird.
Because she has an accent.
I think she needs to dump the timeless entrance for Wembley. I think it needs to be the first entrance that she had. I think it needs to be more upbeat so she gets that pop so that people get behind her. I think that is going to lead into my criticism of the Mariah May promo. Of
the promo? Okay. All right.
Because I hated that she came out in the timeless Toni Storm gimmick.
Okay.
I think we needed, if we wanted to do this, we needed to have a vignette earlier in the show. Or we take 3 weeks. We do the turn last week. We do the transformation of Mariah May into, this was my plan because I wanted to be you all along. And next week, I will show you what I truly wanted to be this whole time, or something like that. Set it up. build it a little bit. And then this week, then we debut her as I have now taken over your form and I do you better than you type of a thing. That's what it needed for me.
I think the issue here is that Tony is basing this angle, Tony Khan, I should point
It's all about Eve.
Right. And I've never seen All About Eve, but I've seen Showgirls, and it's close enough to Showgirls.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And the thing is that that's what happened in that. Like the understudy just basically took over and started playing the role.
we're doing the super fan wants to now become the star.
And now they are. They're literally doing the role.
Yes.
So in Showgirls, she literally took Gina Gershon's spot in the dance troupe that they were in, and she took her role. Like literally took her role.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what Tony did here, and the announcer even.
You mean Mariah? Mariah should have said, "This is why I let you get close to me. This is why I did this. This is in the vignette, not in the promo. The promo,
yeah.
In terms of text, it was fine. It was nothing. There was nothing there really for me.
I wrote it out. So, so when they came out, you know what? Before that, we got a Jack Perry promo.
Okay, I want to talk about this quite a bit. So
right.
let's circle back. Let's get the Mariah May stuff out of the way, and then I'll do.
Even though it's out of order, that's fine.
Yeah. That's
so
fine.
Tony's music hits, and Mariah comes out in Tony's timeless gear. And I mean, if they didn't tell me it was Mariah May, I would have thought it was Toni Storm. Like it looked exactly like Tony. And but Excalibur tells us playing the part of timeless Toni Storm, the glamorous Mariah May. And they did the black and white thing. Her hair was in curls. It was, she was exactly the same thing. And the announcers were saying that she planned this all along. The crowd's booing her. Taz made fun of Little Rock, saying they just figured it out. And before she talked, she grabbed a mic and she's just staring at the crowd, soaking it in. And Tony Schiavone says, "Speak, bitch. Come on now."
This was legitimately my favorite moment on the show. I'm not kidding you. It felt like a genuine moment within the world that they had built, and I loved it. I laughed hysterically. I popped. I went, finally, because so much of all wrestling now for me feels contrived and manipulative, and doesn't feel like anybody's having an honest reaction to anything. So when Tony said "speak, bitch," I pumped my fist and I howled outrageously. I loved it.
The other announcers were taken aback.
They broke character. They all of a sudden just, wow, what? That seemed very extreme.
We hear "bitch" enough around here, something like that.
And then Tony decided he had to get a few more shots in on people, so that was fine.
I think Tony Khan probably was listening. He's like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna be hearing about this on X," because he called her a bitch.
No, anyway, he'll be fine. He is the David. That's something David Crockett would have said.
Well, he might not have used that word
back in the day. Well, look, if standards and practices were the same,
this was Jericho, or this was JR calling someone a
he would have done the Lance, or like, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," type of a thing.
Young lady.
Yes.
So she says, "Everyone saw it coming, but her. The question shouldn't be why. It should be, what took you so long? Honestly, I didn't think it would last this long either, but it was so easy. And I was having so much fun just stringing her along. I wanted to see how far it would go." And the way she was talking, the fans were giving her the what treatment because she was kind of pausing and everything. And she figured it out and changed her cadence.
Yes, no, that was smart too.
Yeah. She said, "But then I saw Wembley, and I thought, why take the old horse out back when I can kill it in front of as many people as possible? I've beaten Toni Storm, and now I've been Toni Storm, and now I can be so much more. But don't worry, Tony, I still love you." Fans are chanting, "We want Tony," and then a few other people are chanting, "No, we don't." And she just paused and let them chant. And she said, "Smart, Tony, actually, the smart was my comment for her pausing. She said, "Tony, I've never loved you more than you were on your knees, bleeding, crying, and screaming my name. It was your greatest performance, and my greatest performance will be at All In. Because now All Elite Wrestling is all about Mariah." And the fans, she got some cheers, some boos, and then she fell down on the mat like Tony, and she's doing the writhing on the mat while the camera does the shot from up top. It was good.
Let me posit an alternate take.
All right.
What if she just started, "I've always hated you, Toni Storm," and then gone from there, as opposed to pretending she loves her? I think it probably would have been more effective. I think she was very good in this, and she adjusted her cadence well and stuff like that.
Is she pretending she loves her, or is she just telling her that?
It's stupid. Yeah. It really is. But, I mean, this needed to be a 3-week transformation, and they rushed it, so it's fine.
I wonder how when Toni comes back, is she still timeless, or if she goes back to the original
She's going to be timeless. I think
you
know what? God, you know what they're going to do? They're doing the Battle of the Timeless.
Oh, God, no.
Winner gets the gimmick.
Nobody's going to know who it is.
Exactly. Oh my God! And it's gonna be in black and white. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah,
like Undertaker versus Underfaker.
Yes,
she looks more like Toni than Brian Lee looked like Undertaker.
That's true. That. She looks more like Brian Lee than Brian Lee does. So there we go.
They said previously on Collision, and I'm ready to skip. And it was it wasn't. It was just this interview happened backstage at Collision. So if you didn't watch Collision, did you watch Collision?
I did not.
Okay. So they did a segment where the Bang Bang Gang, they did a match and they won. And then they tried to claim that Jay White is injured. So now Juice Robinson is going to be 1/3. These guys are 3/4 of the the 6-man champions is what they're said. So Chris Daniels comes out and he says, no, in AEW, people cannot defend titles for other people.
What?
He said it. Yep. And he said, so under my authority, I'm stripping you of your titles. And then he made a match because they were going to have a match. They were going to defend the trios titles against the patriarchy. So Daniel strips them of their title. And then he books a match between these two teams for the vacant titles. It made no sense at all. And not only that, but I mean, it was a heel move because these guys were totally justified in what they were doing. And meanwhile, he's supposed to be babyface.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to get to Jack Perry. So anyways, so this was after this happened. So they get stopped by, I think it was Arcady. I'm not positive. I think there's another.
No, that was Alicia Tout.
Is it Alicia Tout? Okay. So she says the Bang Bang Gang got stripped of the tag team titles. Austin just did a bunch of nonsense about the opponents, and I didn't.
They're
even
baby faces now, apparently, and they're doing the baby face thing.
So Juice says we're not stripped. Whoever wants these belts is going to have to pry them out of our cold dead fingers. So Chris Daniels shows up and said, "These are the rules, and I have to follow them. The alternative, I suspend you." So Austin or Colton right away, no, take the belts. We don't want to be suspended. We need this money to play blackjack. He didn't say that. But he says, and Austin says, cool. He said, thing is, we're scared. Juice says the Collision Cowboys are coming home with our homies to get the hardware. So that's that. We're going to have a match. I don't know when. Probably on Collision.
Saturday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
They didn't announce a damn thing for Rampage or Collision on this show.
They said Saturday they're going to have the match.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. Well, they didn't do the graphic then.
They did it underneath. They did kind of as a crawl. Okay.
All right. I missed it then. And then, so we'll go back to Jack
Perry.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Curryhead. I probably would have forgot. So yeah, Jack Perry's backstage. For some reason, he flipped a coin, and he said, "Darby Allin." I thought he was literally flipping the coin for the man advantage, and was going to say, "Oh, heads, we won." That would have been great.
Well, this started off rough because they wanted to make you feel like they had gotten Jack Perry midway, but it's obvious. And action, and he starts flipping the coin. I went, oh, guys, that was a rough one, but let's continue.
Did you watch NXT?
Yes.
Did you see Brooks Jensen? He's like an adult Jack Perry. He's looking exactly like Jack Perry.
He is.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Anyways, Jack Perry's a better promo. He says, Darby Allin, you wanted my attention. All you have to do is ask. You didn't have to hurt Brandon Cutler. And he said, besides which, you think I give a shit about Brandon Cutler? And they focus down, and Brandon Cutler's on the floor again. And he starts beating him up some more. They go to a back room where there's I don't know what these things were, like turbines or something.
It's a boiler room.
Or it was a boiler room, okay. And he bashes Brandon Cutler into it. And he says, come find me tonight, and I'll show you what a real sacrifice looks like. Keep that in mind, because I was waiting. And
I was waiting too, and it didn't happen. Well, now, see, I liked the idea of this promo.
Yeah.
But I think they could have used that earlier promo to do. It's like have Perry have the Bucks have joined Perry where he is right now with Cutler, and Perry goes, "Do you think I give a F about Brandon Cutler?" Wait a minute, and the Bucks just kind of sell him out and go, "Hey, we're not involved in this thing," and
or they're like scared of Perry.
Yeah, a little bit of hesitant, and then Perry starts beating him up.
Yeah,
and Perry takes him to the back of the boiler room, and behind one of the boilers, there's Hangman. Just seething, just ready for a fight, and so he takes out a little bit on Cutler too.
And then when they do the Mercedes Moné Okada thing, and he's doing the hot thing, he's like Okada can say, "Oh, it's the boiler room."
No, do not screw up my segment with comedy, Paul. Damn you. No, but seriously, they should have been laying the groundwork for. Okay, yeah, Jack Perry's gonna be a little bit mean. But then there's Hangman, who's absolutely psychotic and seething. So he's hiding behind a boiler, just screaming and muttering to himself, waiting for Swerve. And maybe he calls Brandon Cutler Swerve a couple times as he kicks him and tries to hang him. Ooh. Maybe he's a hangman. Maybe he has the nooses back. I know they got rid of him because it was kind of uncomfortable symbolism on TNT, but maybe that's what we use to kind of do that, but also, to also establish that Jack Perry's kind of a loose cannon on this elite team. I really kind of I wanted to see this juxtapose where it's like, it's one of those 80s action movies moments where like the weirdo comic flunky of the boss all of a sudden is going to get killed.
Yeah, it's underling of the main heel all of a sudden is even more evil. Like Cobra Kai, the recent one where the guy Terry took over the Cobra Kai from the other guy,
from John what's his face.
John whatever. Yeah, someone will point me out. But yeah, it's that. It's like, the monster you created all of a sudden is you can't handle him anymore.
Right.
And that's what Perry is. Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, that was the same thing on NXT too. It's like,
but I liked it overall. But it's just like, there need to kind of be that moment of where the Bucks, at least for a little bit of emotional resonance in terms of getting behind. I want to see all the elite get their butts kicked. I want to see the elite sell out their friend Brandon to let Jack Perry.
It's not Reese, it's Cleese. But thank you. I wouldn't have come up with Cleese or Crease. I think it's Cleese.
I thought it was CRE.
You're gonna make me Google this now.
Yes.
Villain in Cobra Kai.
How about you just put Karate Kid, owner of Cobra Kai? But okay.
John Kreese. Okay.
Yeah, I said Kreese. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, KRE. So all John.
I'm a child of the '80s. I know these.
John,
things.
That would honestly, John probably just mistyped it. He knew it was Kreese.
All right.
All right. So the main event: Swerve Strickland and Kazuchika Okada. Excalibur brought up that Willow won the CMLL World Women's title over the weekend, but they didn't show highlights. And Excalibur pointed out that we still don't have a fifth man for Team AEW here with like 5 minutes left in the Go Home show. This match,
they said we're doing a run over. We're doing a overrun.
We're doing an overrun, and then Tony Schiavone says, and this is after the break.
I had a Schiavone moment when they said we're doing an overrun. I said, take your overrun and shove it.
They come back from break, and there's like 1 minute left in the show, and Tony Schiavone, and this is a direct quote. Again, we have an overrun. Don't stay with us. That's literally what he said. I rewound it 3 times to make sure. He told me to change the channel. This match was like almost nothing. They, especially before the break, I mean, they literally were just going through the motions here. Okada is he's in just I don't give a fuck mode. But what it reminded me of was the G1 matches from the last couple of years when they had a 20-minute time limit and they just did sweet fuck all for the first 15 minutes and then decided, oh, we're getting close to the finish. Let's do some moves now. And that's what they did. So once they got to, once they hit the overrun, the elbow, Okada did an elbow drop, but he didn't recover. He went to do the Rainmaker pose, but he flipped off the crowd instead. Swerve rolled him up for 2. Okada went for a lariat. Swerve ducked out, hit him with a bunch of kicks. Okada hit him with a drop kick. Tony Schiavone here was talking about Mercedes and essentially basically said she was in the elite. It was kind of a non sequitur, but might come into play. Swerve went to the top, missed a swerve stomp. Okada hit a tombstone pile driver, picked him up for the Rainmaker. Somehow Swerve Strickland reversed a Rainmaker into a swerve stomp. I have no idea. Like, I watched it happen. I don't know how it happened, but
Mercedes is totally getting involved in blood and guts, and Okada's going to save her. And Okada's going to save her.
Yes, you're probably right. So after the swerve stomp, that's when the Bucks hit the ring for the DQ. So we got the screw job. There's loud boos, and then out comes the Acclaimed, and then out comes Jack Perry, out comes Mark Briscoe. Everyone's brawling. Briscoe took out the Bucks with a dive. Perry hit a DDT on Briscoe.
This was a Stanford special.
Yeah, just move. And then all of a sudden, Swerve's in the ring by himself. And of course, Hangman's music hits. It's like the Stone Cold and the Royal Rumble moment when Bret's music hits. And Hangman comes out. But before they can get their hands on each other, Okada grabbed Swerve from behind, pulled him out. Somebody grabbed Hangman. I don't know who it was. It might have been Briscoe. And Swerve somehow ends up going into the crowd. I don't know what happened to Hangman. I didn't see him again. Everyone's brawling with security. The Bucks are making sure to have their backs to the entranceway because they want to be involved in this brawl at all. And then all of a sudden, Darby's music hits, and time stands still. Everyone's looking around. Where's Darby? Bucks are looking behind them. The Briscoe's
Mark's looking everywhere. Up. Mark looked up and gave it away.
He knew. Right? Yeah. Well, you kind of knew, right?
Well, yeah, he had to, so that is he gonna land on me?
Yeah. So, but I mean, I knew he was coming down before Briscoe looked up. So eventually, Darby comes down from the ceiling. Shabani screams,
"It's Darby!
It's Darby!" Yeah, and so Briscoe unhooked him pretty quickly, and they just did a complete brawl. Tony Schiavone screams out, "It's blood and guts next week!" And Acclaimed are beating up security guys, and the crowd's going nuts for all of it. And it was a nice 5 minutes of build for blood and guts. That's it.
Yeah, it was a nice 5 minutes. I wanted more.
We wanted 5 weeks.
Yeah, I really wanted to be into this match when it got here, and I'm just okay. So who do you think wins?
The Elite.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you do to resolve this then? Because we've already done Anarchy in the Arena. Do we do Stadium Stampede?
You know what I think it might happen? I have a feeling it might get announced on X, but maybe they'll say it on Collision or Rampage. They're actually going to add some stakes to this match. And maybe it's going to be,
Tony Khan announced on Twitter that
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the stakes would be, though. That's the problem. If the Elite didn't have belts, I would say, they get to challenge for belts whenever they want, but they already have the belts. So maybe they get to pick their opponents. I don't know.
They get to pick their opponents for Wembley.
Yeah, you could do that.
And what's going to happen? And then Hangman will pick Swerve. Well, you can't because Danielson. So they'll put the title shot on the line. I think. Yeah. I think they're putting the title shot on the line. I don't think Danielson's doing Wembley. I think he's doing Washington.
The winner of the Owen gets the Wembley match.
Yeah. Well, now it's a title. They can put that on the line.
Oh well. Yeah, I don't know. Someone asked, was the rappelling from the ceiling really necessary? Yeah, it wasn't necessary. But
I'd rather do it this week than last week, and I think they did it. I think they last time for the Owen they did do a rappelling thing with Martha in the building because I remember thinking, did they ask for permission to do that first?
No, what they did was they hung him upside down from the in the middle of the ring while they battered him around like a piñata.
Oh, that's
with her in the building.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that was not cool. I was there. I did not like that. So that was Dynamite. I thought it was a really good show. I would say a little better than last week, not quite as good as the 3 weeks before that, where I thought they had great shows.
I thought it was fine for a wrestling show. I thought it wasn't good for a television wrestling show. I think that's my issue with it. I think you need more angle heavy stuff if you're gonna drive ratings. If that's the point of it, that's me. I thought an hour was a little superfluous.
I would say what's the hook for next week, but I guess the hook for next week is Blood and Guts. So
yes,
we have that, and what else? I don't know. Britt. We want to see more Britt and Mercedes. We want to see more Tony and Mariah. They're not doing anything for Danielson and Swerve. Literally nothing. Danielson won the Owen last week. We didn't hear from him. We should have got a promo
trying to think of
from
some
him.
B matches that they have on this Wembley show that they could build in that other hour when they're not doing
There's
blood
a
and
few.
guts.
I mean, Pac. Oh my God, that Pac thing. Pac last week won a match that while I was watching it, I said, I don't know if you listened to the show last week, but while the match was happening, it dawned on me, like, well, why isn't the winner of this getting something? Like, maybe they should get an international title match or something like that. Literally, with 30 seconds left in the match, they announce that the winner is going to get a title shot. And apparently Tony Khan tweeted during the match that this is what the winner is going to get. So after the match, Pac does a promo where he's crying about not having a match at Wembley, and then Excalibur in his commentary literally said, and I went back and watched it, I listened and I recorded it and posted in the Discord. He said Pac is getting an international title match at Wembley against the winner of next week's match between MJF and Will Ospreay. He said those words.
So it's going to be MJF and
Pac.
Huh.
Which, I mean, watching tonight, I guarantee you we're getting MJF and Will Ospreay next week. Like, or at Wembley, we're not getting Pac, and like Pac is probably getting a title shot, and it'll probably be sometime between now and Wembley, I would think. But it's not going to be at Wembley, I don't think. But that's what Excalibur said.
Unless it's a 4-way with Garcia.
Yeah, which, oh God. But yeah, we've got that. We've got, but I don't, Acclaimed and the Bucks, I guess.
It feels like they're going to do something like a double ring battle royal or something, just to waste time.
Okada will have to defend his belt. I mean, who knows? Maybe Omega will be back. I don't know.
Omega will be back.
Jack Perry and Mark Briscoe, I would think, probably for the TNT title.
Yeah, so you can't do anything on TV with them.
Right. I'm
just trying to think, how do you fill that other hour of television?
Of what? Oh, for next week.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Wembley.
No. I was thinking, what stories in Wembley could you put on TV next week?
Well, we got Jericho and Suzuki, so that might.
Oh, that's right. No, yeah, Jericho and Suzuki. You'll probably have a women's match. You'll probably have a Britt Baker match.
I think Britt Baker's probably going to be wrestling Sky Blue. That would be my guess, because Sky Blue got a win this past week on TV. And
so they get a win on TV. It's usually they're going to job on Dynamite. I will go with either Anna Jay or Trish Adora.
Okay. Yeah. And then and they'll do the Rampage Rumble that they do every year on the other show. Like, they'll tape it after.
Oh yeah, they're taping there too. So
yeah, because they always do that match, right? The Rampage Rumble.
Okay.
Yeah, where they have the 2 rings, and the winners of the 2 rings, they wrestle for a title shot. So maybe that'll be for Wembley. The winner is going. That's what it's going to be. The winner is going to get the TNT title match at Wembley, probably. So it won't be Briscoe because he's in Blood and Guts.
Right.
Or I guess he could be in both. Anyways, we're rambling here.
Yep.
We'll be back next week for Blood and Guts, and by then I think we'll have a clearer picture of what's going to happen at Wembley. So this was fun. I enjoyed this. I'm glad you're back.
Thank you.
I talked for an hour straight last week.
Isn't it hard doing a show by yourself?
It is. Hands up, or whatever this expression is. Hats off to Scott, who does it every week on the 5-Star Joshi show, and it's like the most popular show on this network.
I get bored listening to myself for an hour. That's why I need the banter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, me too. And I was talking to the people in the YouTube chat, which, you know what? Brian Alvarez was railing about free YouTube chats, and I think ours is pretty good for the most part. Every once in a while we get a dumb comment, but most, like 99% of them are great.
Yeah, so, and you know who the dummies are.
Yeah, exactly. They don't listen. So anyways, let's hear your plugs.
Yeah, because I don't know what my plugs are other than Shake Them Ropes, because I don't know what we're going to talk about, because there's no major WWE news per se, although we probably will talk about this Janelle Grant filing about the doctor. I haven't yet picked a Vader Club match, but I was kicking the tires on Wayne Bloom and Mike Enos in a match, but I'm not sold on that yet, so I'm looking. That might actually be Doom versus Wyndham and Anderson from Halloween Havoc 90. That's actually a very good one too. And Chris Novembrino and I will record that sometime later this week, and it'll drop in your podcatchers probably Friday or Saturday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Shake Them Ropes. You can follow me at CrapGame13. I make bad jokes and arcane references there.
I just watched, what was it?
The Destruction Crew had a 1990 New Japan tour with a bunch of other AWA guys like Vader and stuff. And they had a tag match with Muta and Chono, and I kind of want to see that, but I don't think it exists on video.
This was on randomly on the network. I was just flipping through channels, watching like baseball or something, and it was the Steiners and Miracle Violence connection from.
From like Wrestle War '92 or something.
I don't think it was Wrestle War. It had some sort
or
of.
Was it the finals of the finals of the international tag tournament?
Might have been, because it was like some summer pay-per-view. It was like Beach Blast or
that sounds right.
So it was really good. It was a 30-minute draw.
That sounds right too.
Yeah. So for me, I got nothing else but this show going on right now, as far as I know. So tune in next week. If I'm going to show up on one of these other shows, it'll probably be a last minute thing. So you can follow me on X at Paul Ace Fontaine for the time being. No, I'm sure I'll be on there for a while. So for Jeff, the returning Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine as always, and this has been the Dynamite Show. Au revoir.